I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
All right, listen up, nacho chips. Quiet down, crispy potatoes. This is the moment Velveeta's been preparing you for, and you're not about to crack under pressure. Today's the day to go all in on the drip. Velveeta's Heat and Eat Queso is the MVP of any game day spread, so stick by them, and you'll be golden. Now get out there and make delicious history. No tailgate party is complete without Velveeta.
Tom, if you could fuse together any 2 global cuisines, what would they be?
I'm going with Mexican and Thai. I feel like they have similar flavor profiles, could get really fun with the chilies and the moles. I feel like I'm going Mexi-Thai.
All right. I think the correct answer is Japanese and Greek.
Oh, come on. Oh, those are my favorites.
This is Pack Your Knives. I'm Kevin Arnovitz.
And I'm Tom Haberstroh.
Tom, it's Restaurant Wars. Tennis has Wimbledon, golf has the Masters, and Top Chef has Restaurant Wars. That's the main event of the season. I got lots of notes. Do you have lots of notes on this one?
I have a notebook full of notes here, Kevin.
First impressions. I mean, again, we have no quick fire to talk about. I just want to dive right into it. This is, to me, always one of the pivotal, truly pivotal. It's halfway through the season. It's sort of the Mendoza line for any competitor on the show. If you make it past Restaurant Wars, you kind of finish in the top of the division. If you didn't make it to Restaurant Wars, who you kidding? I do feel like this carries great import, but I have a few beefs.
All right, so let's talk about it right at the top, the whole fact that there's 9 chefs versus 8 chefs. So right off the bat, we got some answers early on. No, there's not going to be a quick fire elimination as we kind of speculate, or at least I thought we might see a quick fire elimination to get it down to 8, which would have made things interesting because of the fact that it would make it a traditional 4 versus 4. Now, we didn't get that. We got what was a look at. Are you okay, Kevin?
This is not a minor point, Tom. This is not a minor point.
You're literally shaking your head and you're tonguing your cheek just with a snarl on your face.
Look, I understand logistics very well could have taken over. The show is subject to forces outside of its control. But I think it's fair to say that a team's capacity in Restaurant Wars to perform boils down to time multiplied by labor.
Yes.
There is no challenge on Top Chef that demands sort of labor working against the clock, against an oncoming rush of tables and customers, and the servers have the wrong table numbers, and you get 25% extra labor and extra time. I mean, it is a wild advantage. I'm not suggesting that Channel would have lost had they only been 4-on-4. But what I am saying is this is not just throw an extra pair of hands. I mean, imagine having 5 people and you can have someone work in the pass, an expediter, and still have 2 people totally devoted to the kitchen and an executive chef and the person out front. Like, I don't understand how the show puts an unfair fight, because it was an unfair fight. I am sorry. Like, we would all agree that if it were 7-on-4, we'd say, hey, that team's going to win.
Yeah.
They can multi-purpose. Like, why wouldn't 5 and 4? I mean, it's 25% more resources. That is your resource. You have your pair of hands, your talent, and the amount of hours you spend prepping, preparing, whatever else. And I don't understand how the show allows for a 5-on-4. It just makes no sense to me.
It would be different if they had to do an extra dish with each course, right? Like if you had 5 people, okay, you're going to have 5 people, but you're also going to have to do a proportional number of extra dishes because of that 5th person. We do get the fried catfish, the grilled carrots, and the gumbo, but it wasn't commensurate with the other disadvantage. And the other thing is, I feel like the quick fire elimination would have been fun. Because the thing that's been hanging over this last few weeks where it's like we can eliminate 1 or 2, it's kind of fallen flat. You know, when they get to the judges table, they kind of throw it in at the end where they're like, oh, by the way, we could eliminate 2 people. It was cool the first time, but I was ready for a quick fire elimination here to make it a 4 versus 4.
I'm over the sword of Damocles hanging over this competition. Like, just declare who's going, how many people can go home. And, you know, and if you're not good, we'll eliminate 2 of you.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's just something a little cynical about it. I think they would probably respond that Restaurant Wars demands the full hour to get it to pack the full punch, that we'd have to do a longer episode. But I think I'm with you. I think you can quickly do an 8-minute quick fire just to eliminate, or just wait a week. But I just don't understand. Again, this is a challenge where your resource is your labor and how you can give one team 25% more of it and call it a fair fight.
It's also a double advantage that the person who won the previous elimination challenge gets to choose their team. So they're already able to scout which is the best team, the superior team. And then I'm going to make it even easier by choosing the strongest team and adding, this is like, you know, in the NBA, we always say, hey, we shouldn't incentivize teams to lose by awarding them with the best player. Victor Wembanyama shouldn't go to the worst team in the NBA because you're incentivizing incompetence. You're incentivizing bad performance. So in the sense, now we're arguing like Michelle, by winning the last elimination challenge, she gets the advantage of choosing her team. But then you're just making the rich get richer. And so, you know, in Top Chef lore, we know that choosing first as a Top Chef, as a Restaurant Wars draftee, it actually isn't an advantage. TopChefs.com says of the 15 teams who chose first when building their team, only 4 won Restaurant Wars. Is this an overcorrection? Is this an overcorrection on the whole drafting is actually a disadvantage? The second thing, actually, you know what? I'll leave the second note for when we get further into the episode. But this whole schoolyard thing, I know it's exciting to me, but for Restaurant Wars, I kind of wanted something different. And with the 4-on-4, I felt like that's a good format. It was confusing after they did the cliffhanger last week when we were like, wait, there's 9 people. How is it Restaurant Wars? Oh, they're going to do an elimination quickfire. It'll make sense. Didn't do that. And I just felt like that team already, the channel team, was stacked to begin with. And then you throw Michelle on there and the extra set of hands. Man, that's a lot.
I got an idea for Restaurant Wars. Again, if there were 8 competitors, or you could do it with 9, certainly, is what if, and this I think would actually be really interesting to gauge reactions from the chefs. Just say, we're going to rank you. And like, we have a point total. We're going to, based on tops and bottom finishes, we are going to have 1, 4, 5, and 8 are on the same, on one team, and 2, 3, 6, and 7. And actually, for the chefs to have to confront their sort of first half of the season performance, I think would be really interesting. It would also just sort of kind of demarcate where each person is in the competition. And it would be, and for the sake of fairness, it would actually, you know, that services what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
But I think that'd be an interesting way to do it. But what I'm not for is an odd number of competitors. That's what I'm not for. Or unless you're doing 3 restaurants.
And it didn't really come up in the judges table, did it?
No.
They didn't discuss, well, this team did have an advantage, you know, by having more people in the kitchen. I mean, I guess there is some argument, to play devil's advocate here, that adding more people to the kitchen isn't necessarily better if, you know, that's just more, I don't know, dishes or more arguments to be had, that maybe it's nicer to have 2 line cooks, an executive chef, and a front of house. But I'm not buying it. I don't think that this is a case where, you know, too much, you know, chefs in the kitchen. So schoolyard, they have to figure out the teams, which is awkward and cringy. And you could see Kalina's on the end on the left side. As soon as they say, go pick your team, Manny is just like turns his back to Kalina and just darts over towards Danny. And I got to tell you, Savannah is brilliant. You know what you should do, Kevin? Every time there's a potential for a team challenge, you got to sidle up next to the favorite. You got to find Danny. You got to find Michelle, and you got to sidle up next to that person, because you know what they're not going to do? They're not going to, when you turn and say, you want to go on a team? No one ever says no. No one ever says like, actually, I don't want to be with you.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good, actually. So just by like proximity, just always stand next to someone you want to team up with. And so Savannah, Amanda, and Danny just being over there on their side, poor Manny really wanted to get over there. And I swear to you, Kevin, I thought when he figured out that he was with Laura and Kalina, and Sue's a different story, I thought Manny was going to vomit. He looked green up there, just very upset and unpleasant, and just like, shit, I know we are not winning this thing, but I guess I'm happy to be on this team. It was hilarious to me.
Speaking of sidling up next to, so if you've ever taken regular yoga classes where they make you do kind of like two-person partner work, like, there's a certain point in the class where you break off and like there's certain things that you do.
Yeah.
I used to take yoga up at a studio in South Pasadena. And in my class was the uncommonly attractive Wentworth Miller, star of the show's Prison Break, right?
Is that a real name, by the way? Wentworth Miller?
I think it is. I think he is an English chap.
Okay.
Went to Princeton, but he's English. I don't know.
Of course he went to Princeton with that name. Yeah.
At any rate, 30-something gay man that I am, I have a choice between the empty nest moms of Pasadena or Wentworth Miller.
Yeah.
And this was one particular class they always made you do like partner, which I never really liked. I always prefer, like, I don't want to have to deal. And I don't want Top Chef splitting in teams in my yoga. Yoga's about relaxing and sort of it's a practice that I just want to kind of block out all of the social anxieties of life, but they make you do this and whatever, but it's a good class otherwise. It's in a good location, but I always would. And sure enough, I got to do, and he's not all that great at yoga, by the way.
Yeah.
Talented actor.
But he's great to look at.
Apparently good writer, but actually, yes, it's who you want to be in a South Pasadena. So the sidling up next to trick is very good. And I love that you zapruder this stuff, like that you actually saw Manny completely. Now, the irony is Manny ended up on a team with Kalina. So what happened? He didn't move fast enough.
He got boxed out. Like once Danny, Dan, and Savannah and Amanda teamed up, he was like, I guess I got to turn around and get the leftovers. And so one thing that was interesting was Laura. Kalina was like, yeah, Laura and I are like kind of teaming up or whatever. I didn't get that vibe that Laura was teaming up with Kalina. I think Kalina was just latching on to Laura. And then what Laura did was really interesting. She looked Sue on directly in the eye. And she was like, you want to be on my team? And of course, Sue can't say no. He's just new to the competition. So he's just like, yeah, sure. Sounds good. That was a very savvy move by Laura. She is the perfectionist. She is the one who has a lot of gamesmanship, sneaky gamesmanship this season. And Dan has picked up on it. And Laura, I think it was a power move by her to like seek out Sue, because I think she has a lot of respect for Sue, and get him on her team. Now, granted, he was already going to be on her team by default because the team channel had already figured them out. But Savannah, she did not move. She did not communicate. She knew exactly where she wanted to be and was right next to Danny and Amanda, and she was on that team. And that was brilliant move by her. So you got Sue, Manny, Kalina, and Laura. Now, Kevin, I want to ask, did you see Laura out of that group? Because we got a little bit of the teaser last week. Did you see Laura being the alpha and being like, I'm running the show. This is my team. I didn't think it was going to be Sue. I didn't think, because he's too new. I'm a little upset by the fact that he decided to be a line cook on this one, because I think that team would have won if he was the executive chef. And I think Manny doesn't have that kind of attitude, or I didn't see it coming from Manny. I kind of felt like Laura was going to be the alpha on this team no matter what.
Yeah, I think it's the person who it's the same quality that allows you to have the chutzpah to like basically eat up half of your team's budget for a 4-way tres leches cake dessert, right? Like, so yeah, she was going to kind of set the tone. Although Kalina is working as expo, she ended up, I think, on game night actually sort of serving that role to her own detriment, right? I mean, it ultimately got her sent home. But no, I mean, I think the Laura thing makes sense, right? I mean, it's the same instinct that allows you to have the nerve to sort of, and I'm not, I think there's a part of it that's good. You get what you want. But I think, no, it wasn't a surprise at all.
No. And Kalina saying it's a solid team right off the bat, just not great vibes. But I would say, I think Laura really did a great job with the decor. She knew what she wanted. She had a vision. She executed it. I thought her demeanor as the front of house and her candor in the back room in the kitchen, I thought she did a very nice job. And it did get, once it went a little sideways, her and Kalina kind of, I don't know, whether it was tension or whether it was some sort of friction. I thought Laura did a really nice job in this episode. And I would say, look, Michelle, no doubt when she looks at those rosters, which team she's picking.
Oh, it's an easy call. It's a very easy call. It was interesting to watch each team sort of ruminate on what they wanted to do. And in a certain sense, the Dos by Duel team, I think, had a more coherent concept in the sense that, okay, we're going to wed Korean food with Mexican food, right? And now, I mean, fusion's tricky, right? Because there is more to it than just tossing jicama into an otherwise Korean dish or a cilantro sprig on a miso shrimp, right? Like it is, God forbid, by the way, you ever put cilantro in my miso shrimp or miso black cod. There's no excuse for it, really. Whereas Channel, I mean, this is what I got from Channel. And I think I got it. This is what I sensed right from the outset, from the very first conferences we saw when they're sitting around the table. Hey, our theme is basically like, we're all different and we don't want to compromise that in service of a common idea, but we are the more talented team. There are more of us. So as long as we send out good dishes to the judges, we're going to win. Mm-hmm. And you know what? They were right. That's all they had to do. Like the theme, at the end of the day, they punted on theme. Channel, we're a bunch of different people. So, well, what's the theme? The theme is we're all doing our own thing. That's the theme. Get it? Like, we're all just kind of cooking as if it's an individual challenge. And then, something's vaguely an entree, something's a dessert, and something's an app. But that's our theme. And we can get away with it because we're better.
Simplicity is the chaos, right, Kevin? What if the simplicity is the chaos,
Exactly.
What is the theme? There is no theme, and that's the theme. And you're right. That was a strategic move by them to not have to kind of find 5 threads and pull them all together. I think they should have played up the water a lot more. Each of the dishes should have had a seafood or a water element to it, and then it would have been fine. They didn't lean all the way into it, and guess what? It didn't really matter, like you said. So Channel, I thought it was interesting that both restaurants went with the same like color palette almost, with the green, and it was very bright. We didn't get any sort of drama or any sort of chaos, crises when it came to the design or the name or anything like that. But you're right. The Dos by Duel, they had the best concept and executed that concept in terms of the theme best. It all came down to the food, and that's what Top Chef is all about.
Yeah. And in that respect, that's a good thing, right? There's always something a little dejecting about seeing someone go home for front of the house or, one team, getting the edge because they had a cute concept, but that rarely happens. I mean, I do think that by and large, and I think that's a smart thing with Channel, like do just enough to justify your disparate talents and whatever. And again, I think they knew they were the better team. I mean, like the bottom line is what's our theme? Our theme is, Danny's going to knock 2 dishes out of the park. Dan's going to knock 1.5 dishes out of the park. Savannah's going to do something really technical and well rendered. And Amanda's going to have a great concept, pitch in on something else. Like that was the thing. And Michelle's just going to cook tasty ass food. Like that's what she does. Like it's just like, it's going to be fried catfish with the best smoked oyster sauce you've ever had. That's the theme. The theme is we're each going to do our thing. And at the end of the night, you're not going to send us home because our food is better than their food, right? That was essentially, I think, the theme of their restaurant is our food is better than their food.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS. Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered. With 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with a cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings.
So now that we've set the table for Restaurant Wars, I want to ask you a question. Did you notice that they didn't have one team serving the judges first and then the other team serving second?
Yes, it's a complaint you have made repeatedly, and they addressed it, and that is one thing I really did like about this Restaurant Wars. And you got to see why, because so let's take Sue's dish. He does this sort of rice cake, almost as a pasta dish. Actually, there's a wonderful new izakaya place in our neighborhood called Budonoki. And actually, they do a budo gnocchi, and it is with those Korean rice cakes with a katawi pepe sauce. And so it is also the kind of thing where, as Kristen pointed out, those little rice discs, you sear them, and if you serve them right away, they're lovely. They kind of have that gnocchi texture. But if they sit, they get gummy. And you got to see how literally one table, Gail Simmons, who got the dish first, this made me happy. We love, Stephanie is already saying, oh, this was one of our favorite dishes, right? It goes to the other group, the second judges table that comes in hours later, and you got Kwame saying it's a clunker. And he said it so definitively, as if it were just obvious. What is that? That is, you were in 3 hours after service started. They were in right when service started, and you got the best earliest plate of the rice cake salsa verde dish, right? And I'm really happy they did that. Something you've been calling for years. There's a decided advantage to going first. Your place isn't as chaotic. And that was, they almost made up for the ridiculous 5-on-4 business with this particular tactic, which I really enjoyed. Now, I did find it harder to follow the episode just from a production standpoint, right? Like from a viewership experience, it was a little like, remind me which judges at which table, right? Oh, that's right. Tom's group is there and Gail's group is there. Like there was a little bit of that, but I appreciate it from a fairness standpoint.
So here's the stat, by the way, topchefstats.com, of the 19 restaurant wars, the team that served the judges first won 13 times.
Wow.
They're 13-6. 13-6 when they serve first. That is a statistical significance that I'm going to say is a thing. That is a thing, okay?
That's a real thing.
So I think the producers must have figured out, all right, how are we going to split this up so that we can erase and mitigate that and neuter that advantage right off the bat? Well, we're going to split the judges into two teams. And I felt like, yes, they did the right thing from a gamesman's standpoint. From a viewer standpoint, I was somewhat confused by the end of the episode. I was a little lost. I was doing the same thing where I was like checking my notes, like, wait, who did the aguachile again? Oh, wait, and then didn't that person say it was like really greasy, but then the other person said it was like perfect? And at the end of the day, I landed that I liked the kind of dissent. I liked the variance. I liked that they had two different viewpoints on the same dish, because that's what a restaurant experience is like, hey, did you enjoy the bolognese at that restaurant? You know, I didn't, because it was really backed up that night and I felt like it took like 45 minutes and your experience might be a little bit different than mine. And that is reflective of the restaurant business, right? So the idea that Gail could have a different experience than Tom, that can have a different experience than Kwame, I actually kind of liked that. The thing I didn't realize is how much groupthink there is at a table. I actually feel like splitting up into two teams, you're more willing to voice a kind of counterfactual to the table when you're kind of like figuring out, hey, am I going to get bullied by the 6 other judges at this table if I just voice that, you know what, I thought it wasn't greasy at all? And I feel like if you split into 2 smaller groups, you're more likely to get an honest appraisal rather than getting bullied by 10 different master chefs.
No, that's a really good point. And you saw there was a much wider range of opinions on the dishes. I mean, here's not to go back to sort of structure again, but one thing they could have done is if you wanted to keep it just all one table, the team with 5 has to go second.
Yeah.
And that would have been the proper balance if you, and again, I'm with you. I like it for fairness. It did provide it was a slightly more just schizoid viewer experience.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, each, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 6, 7 dishes per team. So we're going back and forth on 13 different dishes, which is a lot, but Gotta hand it to Michelle, because I think she kind of pressured Dan a little bit and was just like,
yep,
you know, I don't really see the whole, you know, seafood dynamic with the beet tartare. Maybe we need more cohesiveness on the whole theme of the restaurant. And man, is he thankful that he decided to go with the smoked walleye salad, which he tried to do as a trout, but they didn't have trout. But that was ultimately the winning dish, and it was the starting dish. I didn't know if you felt like by virtue of being the first dish that the judges ate, do you think that gave him an advantage, or do you think it was just that good?
I think this is that good. I mean, I think, and by the way, I mean, he can credit, in some ways, he doesn't win without Michelle, because I don't think the beef tartare wins him the week. I think maybe you get Danny's carrots in the winning position. Although it sounded like actually, Manny's beef tenderloin might have been right up there with the sort of one of the three most appreciated dishes of the night. I mean, there were not a lot of bangers. I mean, the only bangers I counted were the smoked walleye that won, the carrot clam chowder, sort of, though Tom had a strange objection to the Old Bay situation. I don't know.
I thought that was strange too.
Yeah.
Like the idea, like it's confusing to have a carrot in your clam chowder. I'm like, but that's the whole idea of being innovative,
right? Michelle doesn't get a perfect score because apparently her dirty rice cake was sort of both superfluous and unsatisfying. So really, there were only kind of three bangers, right? There was the beef tenderloin, there was the winning walleye, smoked walleye, and then there's the carrot clam chowder. And maybe I think that dessert, that I do think it does sound like the tea cocktail custard with jasmine tea citrus gelée, Amanda Danny's dessert, probably was the fourth. So maybe 4.
I got to tell you, I had Sue's dish pretty high up until Kwame's clunker comment.
I think when it got later in the night, that stuff got gummy. I think that is a dish made to order early in the night. And one of these I appreciated that they did the 2 seatings, because there's something I do want to talk about, Tom. And this is sort of gameplay as well. And for the life of me, I do not understand when this happens. Like, so Danny, and I appreciate his integrity. When the judges came in, they were a little backed up, and he insisted on not railroading the entire service just because the judges walked in. But I got to tell you, Tom, in a competition, I am sorry. This is Restaurant Wars. When those judges walk in, you delay everything else. I don't care if the normies die of starvation. I don't care if they die of scurvy. And by the way, you've been there. I've been there. They're having a great time. They're at a TV taping. There's free food. They're getting plied with alcohol. Like, they let them wait. When those judges walk in, you fire immediately. You act like they are the only diners. I don't care what happens to anybody else.
Such a noble chef.
Yeah, I mean, Danny's noble, but like, I have no idea. Even on doing Expo and through the past, like, Kalina was like, no, we have to get these out and then before we start on the judges. And it was like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything before. The judges, there are 6 people in that restaurant who matter. Everybody else is on a junket. Everybody else is just is having a story they tell their friends at the office the next morning. We went to the Top Chef taping, right? We got to eat their food. You don't do anything. The judges, we're not going to railroad. No, yes, you are. You're going to cater to those judges are waiting 30 minutes. What is wrong with you?
Well,
they're the only diners who matter. They're the only diners who matter.
Diners' lives matter, Kevin, okay? You're saying judges' lives matter, that's it, but I'm saying they all matter, okay? Maybe Danny was under the impression they're going to fill out like a little survey card, and then he was going to be graded on that. Look, you're right. The nobility of Danny in this and the integrity of Danny is admirable outside of this competition, okay? You know who else was noble? Was Ned Stark, okay? And if Ned Stark had a Carrot Chronicles that he was able to, keep him in the whole castle and make sure that he would stay alive and not on the guillotine, you know what? He'd be still alive. Danny Garcia has his carrot dish and he is still in the competition. Otherwise, he could have gone home if he just had a quote unquote clunker, because that decision could have befallen him. So I hear what you're saying. Danny, I'm still big on Danny. And by the way, I am not going to let it dissuade me. This whole controversy that is happening outside of the Top Chef world right now, Danny Garcia, there's a Danny Gate that's happening. Kevin, apparently he's being accused of copying, plagiarizing, not giving due credit to a former boss at a restaurant over his chou farci dish from a couple episodes ago, the Chaos episode. And this has sparked quite a controversy. I think Eater has picked it up. A couple other sites have picked it up. Vince Mancini wrote about it on his site. And I gotta say, Kevin, I think this is a very small move by his former boss. It seems very weak of her to accuse Danny of some sort of cardinal sin of cooking a dish that it appears that he collaborated on the dish itself at their former restaurant when he was the sous chef or the executive chef, the chef de cuisine, whatever it is. Kevin, this fell on very deaf ears on my end.
Yeah, so just to give listeners, if they aren't scouring the sort of the food blogosphere for Top Chef scuttlebutt, the winning chou farci scallop dish that Danny won a couple weeks ago that was just beloved by the judges.
Yes.
That is a dish that appeared, a very similar dish, if not identical, appeared on the menu at Mina, the restaurant he worked in under Chef Victoria Blamey. And she took objection to the fact that he did not credit her, essentially, accused him of stealing it and not properly attributing the dish, that it's her dish. Now, there are a couple different dispensations I give to Danny here. Number one is, hey, those chefs on Top Chef sit for just interminable amounts of time and give the testimonials. They give a ton of it, and 95% of it, 98% of it ends up on the cutting room floor. For all you know, when he was sort of sitting around with a team saying, hey, we used to do this dish at Mina by my former boss, and she came up with saying she used my scallop mousse, and we did essentially a stuffed cabbage, but with that, like, for all you know, he more than attributed it. And look, they got to put together 43 minutes of television, and it didn't make it. So number one, I think what I would tell, what I would tell Chef Blamey is, you don't know what was said and what made the cameras and what didn't. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, by her own admission, in a piece that appeared on the Resi Food blog, she basically said, this one is funny. We were working on a monkfish for the longest time. She goes into kind of the process. Our executive sous chef, Daniel Garcia, has this really good recipe. And I said, what if we make it around the mousse, right? So she, by her own admission in February of 2022, said this dish, essentially the central component, the scallop mousse, that is the protein that the cabbage and the greenery is wrapping around, is his thing, right? So those are sort of the two things. And number three is really what you're talking about, which is, okay, we don't know what he said and didn't say. Not everything makes the show. Number two, you, by your own admission, admitted that this is sort of his scallop mousse, which has won him twice now on the show on Top Chef, was the central component. But number three, why be so petty? One of your former employees, is kind of making a nice name for himself and doing good work on television. And I don't know. This is sort of, again, I'm not a professional chef, and ownership is a tricky thing. And we're writers, and we would take issue to our reporting getting appropriated by somebody else, right? And so I want to be mindful of that. But it just seems petty, unless she is absolutely, did she not, did she get in touch with him? She does not know what is on that cutting room floor at Magical Elf. She does not know. If someone said, hey, what was the origin of that dish? Oh, we did. For all we know, that's not going to make the show. Nobody cares that you made it in a restaurant 2.5 years ago. Like, that's not the point. So I just thought it was a really petty kind of reaction. Though, I understand. Like, if that's her creation, that's her creation. Well, now we all know. So that's the good news.
But you could just text him. You could call him. You could call and be like, hey, didn't love that. You didn't give me a shout out. Did you give me a shout out on the air? Oh yeah, they got it. It was on the cutting room floor. Sorry about that. Editing out of my hands. I can only do so much. Instead, she blasted him on Instagram. Now, in the NBA, the stars understand that they are stars of plagiarism. There is not a move in the NBA that is not derivative of someone else's move, that they learned it from Kevin Durant, who learned it from Kobe Bryant, that's passed down like an heirloom. These different moves that gets kind of regenerated as the years go by.
Right.
It's not the same, A to B metaphor here, but it's not like when Nikola Jokic or Giannis Antetokounmpo wins a game winner. If they don't give a shout out to Dirk Nowitzki, it's not like this sacrilegious thing that they commit. It's just everyone kind of knows we're all cheating off each other. Like, it's part of the game. You're inventing dishes on top of dishes. And I just feel like, look, Danny, there is a little element of this that it kind of ruined the fun a little bit. Is I didn't know that this was a dish that he's already made 100 times. And there was kind of this, I don't know, icky feeling for me as a viewer when they're like, here's the challenge, create something chaotic, something outlandish you've never done before, like push the boundaries on this and that. And then Danny does this beautiful thing that it didn't really fit with the narrative of the concept. And then we find out that it was already something he's done 1,000 times. To me, it is kind of a bummer when that happens because it's not this improvisational magic that was on the plate. It was something he already knew and has executed before. Putting that aside, I just felt like, you know what, Danny, you're good. Verdict on my end is that you're fine. And unless we hear something else, I feel like, Victoria Blamey, I don't know, kind of cheer on this guy. It's your dish that you guys both worked on before. It's cool.
I'm with you. It seemed a bit petty. And especially, I can't imagine she had all the information. We do not know.
Yeah.
So Danny had another successful week in the sense that I think he had, in terms of conception, probably the most interesting dish. And it seemed from kind of the real, from a technical standpoint, like they could not speak enough about the texture of his carrots and sort of what he did. And he did that. And he also was one of the two people who worked on the top dessert, which was the tea cocktail custard with the jasmine tea, citrus gelée with the buckwheat crumble. By the way, buckwheat crumble is such an Amanda thing. She's now done it like multiple times, and I kind of want to steal it.
Oh, watch out, Kevin. Watch out stealing. Okay.
I know. Everything I do here is like everything. I'm doing a whipped feta tonight with actually roasted carrots, as a matter of fact. They're not going to be as good as Danny's carrots, but whipped feta has become my thing just because, like, when Ludo started doing it, Ludo Lefebvre, I just, I realized, like, this is the condiment I want on all of my roasted vegetables, all my cauliflower, all my carrots. So everything in this house, I have to confess, is stolen from chefs who are infinitely, like, more talented, and I just try to get 60% of the dish if I'm on my luckiest night. But Danny had another really solid week. I mean, he was essentially, the best chef on the best, on the winning team in many respects, along with Dan.
What did you think of his pre-writing the tickets?
Oh.
Did you think that was something you would have done, or do you think that was a little over too much, or do you think it was actually perfect?
No, and I think it was a wonderful contrast to the problems that the other team was having, although that was probably about table number. But even, hey, beef, don't call it beef. It's a little confusing, right? Like he is like this is a man. The trains run on time in Danny World, and it's clear when you watch him cooking, right? Like he's waiting around. He's got the scallop, the aforementioned controversial dish. Like he basically was hanging out in the kitchen, and that thing was done. I mean, the best dish of the season was done in half the time allotted. I mean, this is a guy for whom the trains run on time. Amanda had another. I mean, when I talk frequently about Amanda, I love her concepts. What I'm talking about is exactly what the judges said, which is, hey, the vegan gumbo wasn't great. The tomato crowded out the other flavors. But the idea of doing a vegan gumbo in a seafood restaurant makes total sense if you use kombu, which is such an essential part of the sea, right? I mean, seaweed is, and I think she is kind of a genius. She's obviously a great chef too, but it seems like she is conceptually an AA+. And right now, in terms of execution, she's an A- B+, which is no shame. But I kind of want to think about food with her. Like, I like her. She has one of my favorite food brains on the show.
Okay. How about this? I'm going to make it official. I am offering to Chef's Table the following terms. Chef Amanda in exchange for Chef Savannah. Kevin, I have officially submitted and done talking about it. There have been whispers on the market about this. There are people who are, hearing. People have been told that Team Tom is considering putting Amanda on the trade block. You know what? I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm offering the trade to Chef's Table, Team Kevin, Chef's Table. Would you trade me, Savannah, for Amanda? And I'll tell you why. I love Savannah's food. Every time she makes something, I am like salivating at my desk watching this. The scallop chawanmushi, I was like, give me that. And yes, the mushroom may have been a bit of it may be gummy or it seemed like an afterthought of a topping. I wanted to eat that thing so bad. And I kept telling myself this season, every time she puts food out, it's this Greek-Japanese fusion you're talking about, Kevin. There's just a lot of elements to it that I'm like, yeah, I want to eat that. And so I'm going to put that on the table. Savannah for Amanda. I might regret this. I've regretted trades in the past, but Kevin, I have submitted it to you. Can you bring it to your constituents?
I will bring it to the board. As you know, I am ineligible to approve or even inform the board of my opinions on the trade. But I will take the proposal that we trade you Savannah in exchange for Amanda to the board of Team Kevin.
Okay.
And I'll get back to you, sir.
Okay.
Don't call us. We'll call you. How about that?
Okay. I'll be waiting. And if I don't get a call back, I'll take that as a no. So here, Savannah, I'm very into your food. I want to make it happen on Team Tom here. But that does not mean I disrespect Amanda. I am with you on this entire season. She has been the most inventive right outside of Danny and Dan. I feel like she just completely, the concepts are brilliant. And she comes very quick with them. And it all makes sense in her mind. And until it hits the plate, I'm like, really? Okay. And then she just nails it out of the park. So yeah, Team Channel, it seemed like everything really came together for them. I don't have a clunker here. Maybe that Danny's only knock there was Tom was like, is it too radical? The whole idea of like carrots and a clam chowder. Didn't think that was much of a knock at all, but no. He was grumpy all day.
He's salty. He was saltier than that pork tenderloin, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, very salty. He seemed a little low energy and just kind of like this and that. And I got to say, him next to Kwame, they were putting each other to sleep out there. I feel like by the end, they were dragging. They were dragging by the end of that meal. And I get it. The food was coming out late, but Tom, I feel like his fuse was quite short on this one.
Yeah, he is disappointed dad. Tom Colicchio has become a real character. It is a real thing.
Finished training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
Big news. Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
Quickly run through it. We talked about, I think Savannah, again, she is, as you said, she does Japanese staples so very well. The chawanmushi looked wonderful. There was one demerit, which was the maitake was a little dissonant. It might have been a little texture-wise. Probably didn't even need it. You know, I think the earthiness is probably a beautiful thing, but yeah, they thought it was superfluous. And then Dan, did his maple cremeux, and that was, I think you got a B+ for that one, basically. It was, and there was some disagreement. Kwame insisting that when you completely clean your plate of the dessert, that you can't fault it too much. But by and large, you're right. There wasn't a huge clunker. There were a couple of small errors in an otherwise not coherent, but very professional 3-course meal. Let's move to the other team, and we should talk about Kalina, because she ultimately went home. She was sort of on game night. She was working the pass. I mean, she was the sort of voice in the room.
Yes.
And she took the fall for what was kind of a team-wide. Tom, you tell me. My sense was that the margin of this particular competition was, had they nailed the pork tenderloin, we might be having a different conversation.
As soon as she said, I liked the salt and I liked the heat on that dish, goodbye.
Yeah.
That was it. As soon as she copped to that and was like, yeah, I tasted it. And I'm the expediter and I'm the one who's in charge. I did taste it. And you know what? I actually thought it was well seasoned and it packed a good punch. That was it. She was packing her knives. As soon as she copped to that, I thought that she was done. But I don't think it was on the merits of her first dish, the Dungeness crab. I don't think she particularly did a bad job of running the show back there. It seemed like she got handed a bad deal with the staff, that they seemed to keep screwing things up. And whether that was part of her leadership and Laura's, maybe you can put that on her. But it seemed like to me, it was kind of borderline who was going to get sent home until that moment when she said, I like the salt and I like the heat.
Now, I mean, what's interesting about that, and I don't feel overly badly about it, is that when you go back and watch, Manny suggests more salt, as does Sue. Both of them say more salt. And actually, Sue, being the ultimate team player after Kalina, is like, no, it's already too salty. Said, oh yeah, we can always add more. We can always add more, right? And the truth is it is hard. I mean, you want to season the protein beforehand. I mean, you can add salt later, but it's not nearly as integrated. And I think, that was kind of her fatal error. And you're right. And I think there is probably a world where, because I thought Stephanie had a really interesting comment when she said that, it was a dish that felt like it got no single chef's personal attention, right? It didn't have, and that's the other thing, like because you're accountable for your dish. And that's the incentive to really ace it. And it seemed like the pork tenderloin as a team effort, okay, the pico element with the pineapple, It looked like the black bean onion puree emulsion was fine. The pork tenderloin, the seasoning, that no one really, could take control. And as a result, it did feel, which is further evidence that, hey, when you are taking that central role, you're going to go down for anything that is even perceived as a team effort. So you might as well just own the dish, because you're going to own it one way or the other.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? There's a lot of integrity in that. She was the one who said, it was too salty to begin with. And she fell on that sword and said, like, yeah, I thought the salt was fine. So I actually appreciated that. What I didn't appreciate, Kevin, was not enough Sue. Didn't get enough Sue here. I wanted more Sue in this episode. I wanted him to be the executive chef. I wanted to be front of house. I want more Sue in my life. And I felt like him in Restaurant Wars, he was kind of part of the backdrop. And I wanted more Sue on in my life. I just felt like he's a bright personality. He's fun. And him as a line cook, it was just kind of a bummer for me as a viewer. I wanted more Sue. And I like Kalina. She's obviously on my team. And Laura. But I felt like if he was either front of house or executive chef, they ain't going home.
That's interesting. That is an interesting counterfactual that he might have been able to.
I think so.
Sort of pull it together. I mean, I think you're also right, and he is sort of deferential as the newbie. He does feel like the new kid in class who comes in the middle of the year, right? That you look at homeroom and like the 1st of February, and it's like, oh, who's that guy? Mm-hmm. Oh, my parents just moved here from Indianapolis or something, right? Like it's just that is sort of the persona. He is definitely kind of deferring, and they probably could have used it in terms of the leadership. I'm trying to think what else. The beef tenderloin was a winner. Manny can do, there are definitely these Manny dishes, right? Like when you start getting into some of the great iconic kind of Mexican classics, like you put a mole negro on a well done, like a well executed piece of beef, Manny is going to hit it out of the park. Now, by the way, I was very happy to hear that it was pre-marinated in shio koji, because Tom, as we speak in this house, marinating in koji from last night before I saw the show is my chicken hearts that I then put on the grill and serve with a turmeric yogurt citrus sauce. I love marinating stuff in koji. A chef taught me this once, and you should all be marinating your steaks, like your chicken that you might otherwise brine. Like you should, like everybody should be marinating in koji, because it is the miracle substance in the kitchen.
He's figured out a couple hacks here. Second one is doing mole. Like mole on this show, I got to tell you, Gabri last year with all his moles last year that were just like every time he did one, it was just, everyone was just blown away at those dishes. And I think Gabe, even though his name is in infamy and he did some shady stuff in the back, I feel like he also did a mole a lot and was very successful in that. And here in this season, you got Manny. Every time he does a mole, it's a cheat code. The judges love it, and this is like 3 years now that if you do a mole on this show, you're gonna go pretty damn far. And if it wasn't for the miso butter shrimp, I think Manny had a case to not just lead his team and win, but he might have been the winning chef.
Mole is the anti-risotto. It is the blessing, not the curse, on Top Chef. You should just do moles for 16 weeks on this show, because they love them. They eat them up. And if you know how to execute it, it's going to work. And, he had, I think, one of the three or four best dishes of the day. Tom, you want to, closing thoughts on Restaurant Wars? You want to put it in historical context? What do you think it says about, we're now down to 8. with somebody lurking, at least in Last Chance Kitchen, which you'll brief us on shortly. Closing thoughts on just sort of this year's Restaurant Wars.
I'm very glad that they did the splitting up of the judges. I thought it leveled the playing field and it gave a lot more reviews on every dish. And I think it eliminated a lot of that groupthink that you might have. I was happy to see that. Although there is a negative externality with any decision that you make that you didn't foresee happening. And I think doing all the judges at once and then going to a different venue, it does improve the viewing experience. And so maybe they might try to figure out, next year just how to kind of deliver that a little bit cleaner. But I get it. That's tough to just keep on going back and forth and redoing the dishes a second time. I'm with you, Kevin, to put a bow on it. The 9-person Restaurant Wars, I'm not for it. I'm not for that innovation and that addition to Restaurant Wars. Let's just bag that. But you know what? It's Restaurant Wars. I love Restaurant Wars. It was fun. I wouldn't say it was the most inspired Restaurant Wars we've ever seen, but it was pretty good. And you know what? There weren't all that many surprises in this one. Team Channel and Team Dos by Duel, it kind of went the way we thought it was going to go. Just by the rosters and by virtue of how stacked that team was, it was kind of like the 2017 Warriors with Kevin Durant going against the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron. It's like, they're great. The Cavs are great, but we know how this is going to end. And that's how it ended with Restaurant Wars this year.
Yeah. I mean, I had Laura and Kalina going into Restaurant Wars as the most vulnerable of the remaining 9 chefs, and they were the most vulnerable on the night. So again, you're absolutely right. If nothing else, this year's Restaurant Wars played out exactly how you would imagine with this particular field of chefs. The chefs who had the best night are the chefs who've had the best nights overall, and the chefs that struggled are the ones that have struggled more. So there's that. What's going on in LCK? We got like kind of the second round of LCK now, right? This is like the after they clear their throat and then pop someone back in the competition, or in this case 2, then you start it again. What do we got in LCK?
We got Kevon, who was on Team Kevin, not Kevon, this year. And Kevin, by the way, your team picked up 5 points this week with 15 points because if Dan picks up his second elimination challenge win. And even though Kevin and Rasica were going off in Last Chance Kitchen, you did pick up 5 points on me on Team Tom this week, 15-10. And the overall standings is 125-89 this season. So I've got a little bit of buffer here in the Amanda and Savannah trade. Savannah in our scoring system has 21 and Amanda has 25 this year. So I am giving up the stronger chef by our standings and our scoring system in that trade proposal. But you know what? I feel really great about Savannah. We'll see what Chef's Table says. As for Last Chance Kitchen, we had a baseball themed episode again. It was a little confusing. They had a scoreboard with by the way, love a good scoreboard. I am a Red Sox fan with the Green Monster has the scoreboard that you do with the handheld little cards and filling up all the innings.
You like that little manual action?
I love it. It's great. And Tom loved that. Tom just had a real kick out of doing the whole scoring system of, if you nail it out of the park, it's 4 bases, 4 points, a triple, a double, a single, or a strikeout. I liked that kind of tie-in with baseball. It was a cool theme. Tom Colicchio just got a kick in he just loved that. So Rasica is coming in doing as many dishes as she can and Kevin can in a certain amount of time, which is kind of an interesting dynamic that it was a curveball, pun intended, that when they had like 3 dishes done and they had like a 4th to do, they're like, oh, I gotta rush this out there and give them a 4th dish. And they're like, I got 4 minutes. What can I make in 4 minutes? My hair is on fire. I'm going to put out this dish and give it to him. And then it was like, Kevon gave him like a smoked salmon, just dollop on the plate. It was like, that's it. You're just going for a half of a point there. But you know what? Like the idea of them using up as much time as possible by creating just random dishes in their head, I thought that was kind of funny. I don't know if it was the best food, but Rasica does this rice payasam. It was a little undercooked. She had eggplant with a corn beer sauce, 2 points. A bisabel bath, which was fun to say. Rice and lentils dish got her 2 points, and a Chilean sea bass that was a little too salty. She got 6 total points. Bless her heart. They both look like they're going to pass out at the end of this episode. The lamb, the roasted scallop, but with butternut for Kevin won the show. He got 3 points, 2 points on top of that. And then the last 3 dishes were kind of forgettable, but ended up the first 2 dishes were the winner. And Kevin, he wins outright, and he sends Rasika home for what was a really upsetting halt to her at at Top Chef. They looked exhausted, and Rasika, I love this line. She just looks at the camera, knowing she's not nailing this because she doesn't watch baseball. She goes, "I got striked out," and she just gives this smile like, I might have butchered that, but I got striked out. Rasika, can't wait to talk to you. Listeners, we saved it for an hour into the show. We are going to talk to Chef Rasika here on Pack Your Knives this upcoming week. She is our interview guest this week, and we can't wait to talk to her. And this was a tough one for her to lose out on, but there might be a twist here. There might be a twist.
Closing thoughts about just as we go in, really, what is it looking like to you? Final 8. I mean, how do you handicap this? I want your closing thoughts here.
I'll tell you what, I'm happy with Michelle and Danny. One of the reasons why I'm okay with taking a risk on trading for or proposing a trade for Savannah is I feel like I got the 2 winners here. I feel like one of the 2 here is going to be Michelle or Danny. And Danny, I think, would be going number 1 overall in a redraft. Let us know on our Pack Your Knives site. You can comment. You hit us up with who do you think in a redraft after Restaurant Wars would go number 1. I want to hear it. Kevin, I know you have sworn to secrecy. Dan, love you, buddy. 2 episodes that he has won 2 elimination challenges. I still just have a little bit more faith in Danny and Michelle going forward.
Yeah, I mean, again, the finale loves a technical chef. Danny is out there doing that stuff, and he's looking strong. For Tom Haberstroh, for producer Anthony Mays, this is Kevin Arnovitz, and this is Pack Your Knives.